if AI could write the piece of content, please, for the love of God, don't put it on LinkedIn. Like, I want to know specifically what Larry cares about. What's Larry's unique experience? What's coming up in Larry's conversation? Like, that is the content that is going to resonate with people. That's what people will find interesting. And as AI becomes more and more mainstream, at the end of the day, business happens because of relationships. And so if you're trying to build relationships via AI, I think you're going to significantly struggle. It's like, what's that human connection that you and I have? And to me, that's like, how can I provide value for Larry? What does Larry care about? I want to provide value for you. I want to help you rather than just spam bot 10,000 messages and pray that 2 people will respond.
I'm Larry Sprung, your host for the Mitlin Money Mindset and founder and wealth advisor of Mitlin Financial. Today's guest is Harris Fanaroff, the founder of Linked Revenue. Harris is a dynamic entrepreneur known for helping businesses unlock their growth potential through sales and client engagement strategies. As the founder of Linked Revenue, Harris specializes in creating systems that help companies build meaningful relationships, increase their revenue, and thrive in competitive markets. His expertise in sales development, combined with his passion for empowering teams, has made Linked Revenue a trusted partner for businesses looking to accelerate their success. With a background in coaching and leadership, Harris is not only focused on driving results, but also on cultivating a culture of connection, communication, and collaboration. His innovative approach to sales has helped organizations of all sizes achieve sustainable growth. Join us as we explore Harris Fanaroff's entrepreneurial journey, gain insights into the strategies that fuel Linked Revenue's success, and learn how building strong relationships can transform your business. Well, I am super excited today. We have the founder of Linked Revenue, Harris Fanaroff, with us today. Welcome to the show, Harris.
Thanks so much for having me, Larry. Excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, me too. And, I think that, LinkedIn is such a powerful tool, and we're going to spend a lot of time on that and how you are, enhancing that for entrepreneurs, business owners, et cetera. But before we dive into what you are doing today, I'm always fascinated by the entrepreneurial journey. Can you share, your progression up to founding Linked Revenue?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always wanted to be a founder. I grew up in a family of founders. My dad was a founder in a way and grandfather founder. So this was in my blood a little bit. This is the 4th business that I've started, and it is having 1,000 times more success than the first 3 that I started. So I had 3 failures along the way to get to this one. The other ones were businesses that I started while working full time. And then this one luckily took off enough that I could do it full time. So, and this one came to me organically. So I didn't set out to start a LinkedIn agency, but actually had founders coming to me after I was creating content for about 4 years saying, I don't have time, capacity, or interest in figuring this out. Will you handle it for me? And so once 1, 2, 3 started to trickle in, I started to think there's a theme here. There's something that people are interested in. And it has absolutely taken off. And we've been running with it for about 1.5 years at this point.
Awesome. Well, I wouldn't say I would disagree with you. I don't think you had 4 failures. I think you had 4 learning experiences that are probably helping you and preventing you from making mistakes in your newest venture today. That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
3 ventures before this one.
Right. This is the 4th. So 3 learning experiences, and now you're on to the 4th, which is Linked Revenue. So, obviously you said you had some people coming to you, kind of asking you for assistance, help around this, around this topic. Maybe tell us, what exactly does Linked Revenue do, and what was what led you, what was the purpose behind starting the practice? I know you had the proof of concept, but ultimately, what was really the idea there behind getting this thing rolling for you?
So what we do is we help executives generate revenue from LinkedIn. And I think of our business as like 3 different stools. One is thought leadership content. So getting their thought leadership content out there into the world. So we interview all of our founders and chief revenue officers, and they say all the content. So it's their authentic voice. We put it in the right way on LinkedIn. So that's 1 is the thought leadership content. 2 is growing and nurturing their network. So who are the people that they want to get connected to, who's their ICP, their ideal customer profile, and how can we drip, 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 add them into their network. So 2 is growing and nurturing their relationship. And then 3 is business development, strategy, and execution. So for all the businesses that we work with, the founder or CEO or chief revenue officer, their network plays a big role in growing the business. And so we're combing through and figuring out, okay, who are the people in their ICP, their ideal customer profile, that are liking and commenting on their posts? How can we let them know about that? And how can we use that as, quote, an excuse to reach out to them? What I love about LinkedIn is there's no better B2B, no better business platform out there in the world. And what it does is, in a world where it could be awkward for me to reach out to you, once you comment or like something on my page, now it's no longer awkward. Hey, Larry, great seeing your name pop up on LinkedIn. Would love to hear about your company and how you're growing. And now we have an excuse to reach out to you when otherwise I wouldn't have had anything. And what I love about LinkedIn is it's a way to grow and build relationships. So I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they just spam, mass blast. That doesn't work. Use it as a way to build qualitative relationships, and good things will happen. And that's really our whole focus and goal. So it's really, who do you want to have conversations with, and how can we use your content, connecting you with the right people, and using smart business development strategies to do that. And I guess the other thing that I'll add about this is we work with executives who just don't have time. So they know that they have a pretty solid relationship. They know that what they're talking, their content would be interesting, but they just don't have time to do it. And we fully handle that for them. So I think I answered the first question. Now I'm forgetting the second question. So if there's something that you want me to answer, also, I'm happy to go into it, or we can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think the second half was, at what point did you realize, I guess maybe you answered it already. You were talking about you started doing this and moving in this direction. You had a couple of people talking about it. What's your why in terms of running this business or growing this business?
It's an interesting story, and I didn't answer that question, so I want to answer it real quick. So I've been in business development, sales, and marketing for a decade now. My entire career has been in that. I took a job at the start of the pandemic leading business development, sales, and marketing for a leadership development and emotional intelligence company. And what we would do prior to the pandemic was we would go to organizations in person and deliver presentations on the Myers-Briggs and the EQI and change and all these, like, quote, soft skills. And the pandemic came and basically said, your business is done. Like, good luck. And so me and the CEO were like, we have to pivot. We have to figure something out. At that same time, I took a social selling course, and I took that and I said, there's a lot of opportunities here. And so I started creating content in so it started with leadership development. I did a bunch of stuff in new hire onboarding, but since 2020, I started creating content. So, and this is where I get into where I started this business. My third business the third business I talked about was a new hire onboarding consulting business that we were doing. And at one point, I say about 6 or 9 months in, the founder came to me. He's like, the new hire onboarding stuff's interesting. We're not hiring right now, so I'm probably not going to keep going with you, but you've been really active on LinkedIn. Like, how do you do it? And so he actually came up with the idea. We were sitting at breakfast, and then from there, it's like, all right, there's probably other people who fit in your profile. And I just started talking to those people and reaching out and having conversations. That's where the business really took off.
And it's all history from there. So listen, we have a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, people that are playing in traffic on LinkedIn, so to speak, and using those social aspects. So how can people set up their LinkedIn profile for success, right? As somebody who does this regularly, how can they do that?
That's how we start every relationship. So the biggest thing I see clients not do effectively, and clients and prospects, is they don't update their about section. They haven't updated their about section in 15 to 20 years. And that is the first place that people will go to when they Google you and are interested in figuring out more information about you. So we have a formula that we use. The first sentence matters a lot. You want to get people to click see more. I always recommend sharing things personally about you. I have a number of things that are personal about me on my LinkedIn, and I can't tell you how many times it's helped me build a relationship with somebody that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. And we could talk for an hour around personal things on LinkedIn. But what I do think is really important is that helps you build a connection. And so I have a format that I recommend everybody use for creating their about section. We start with that with all of our executives. And it is, when someone Googles you, LinkedIn is the first or second thing that will come up for almost everybody. And so you want to make sure that's a good landing page for your professional business. And so setting up your about section, I mean, basics, having a good cover, good profile photo. If you have a good cover photo, that's helpful. Your headline matters. I have a lot of thoughts and gut reactions on the headline. So go into all of that. But really, at the end of the day, it's like taking the hour to set you up. And this matters a lot if you're going to start creating content. So if you're never creating content, this doesn't matter that much. But if you are creating content, people are going to go to your profile and you want them to be like, hey, Larry's somebody that I want to continue to follow and get to know. And then 6 months, 9 months, 2 years down the line, they're going to send you a message and be like, hey, I really like what you're about. I'd love to learn more. I don't like my current FA or whatever it is. You're going to be the person because you're constantly staying top of mind for them.
Right. So you don't want a profile picture from like 15 years ago either, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you hop on the Zoom, you're like, oh, wait, are you the same person? Right.
Right. That does happen a lot.
Yeah, a lot. So great points about that setup, the about section, the photo, the headline. And I've heard you, just like you are today, I've heard you share how you give away a lot of your content and you give away what you do. What do you find that the magic is in doing that? Because clearly there's purpose, right, behind doing that.
I give away 99%. I tell everything that we do. I just share it publicly. At the end of the day, people pay us and work with us because they don't have time to do what we're doing. So anybody could do all the things that I say and learn it and figure it out. But at the end of the day, and I hope that's the case, and I hope that happens. And at the end of the day, people just don't have time. And so for busy entrepreneurs, which is really who we work with, busy entrepreneurs, busy chief revenue officers, busy top sales leaders, like that's our target. I want to give them quick tips and ideas they can start to do and then be like, hey, I want more of this because it's working. So that's really like our model and mantra is just provide a ton of value. I mean, in every sales conversation that I get on, I'm giving 20 to 25 minutes worth of LinkedIn value and information. And at the end of it, hopefully they're like, so tell me a little bit about what you do. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what we need. That's how I approach sales conversations. And sometimes it's like, hey, they're not a fit for us if they have the time to do this. If they have plenty of time, we're not the right fit and go do it on your own and learn and figure it out. We are the right fit for the entrepreneur who doesn't have time to do all of this.
So it sounds like to me, like if you're hearing this and you haven't updated your profile photo, you haven't updated that about site, these things that we're talking about today, and it may not be because lack of want, it's just lack of time, then you're somebody who can basically help them take care of that without a lot of impact on their time and keep that up to date.
Yeah, exactly. And be more consistent and be more out there. I mean, the thing about LinkedIn that I think is really, really important is you don't snap your fingers and start getting leads from LinkedIn. You don't post one time and start to get leads from LinkedIn. It really does take 3-6 months. The longer you do it, the better. But inbound leads are really not going to happen until 3 months of consistent content would be what I would recommend.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because, with the rapid growth of your company, LinkedIn revenue, I understand 75% of your new business for you are inbound people reaching out to you. And, given my experience when I share about our inbound leads here at our firm, what would you say to those? Because many people, when I talk about what we do here, they're kind of skeptical. They're like, really? The social media works? And you're kind of experiencing the same thing. What would you say to those that are skeptical that giving it away on social will lead to inbound traffic?
It's a great question. And you're a great example of that as well. What I would say is that here's what I would say. There's 4 different channels for business development, how I think about it. There's in person, which is always going to be the best. Anytime you can meet with anybody in person, that is absolutely going to be the best. And then there's 3 other channels. There's phone, there's email, and there's, for B2B or business, essentially, it's LinkedIn. I mean, you could argue Twitter, sort of, but really it's LinkedIn. I think email is dead. I think it's almost impossible to get somebody's attention via email if you don't know them, just because we are all so spammed with email and there's no personality and information to an email. Phone is great if you want to make cold calls, which most of us are terrified of. I don't like making cold calls. I don't make cold calls. And so that I would throw out the window. And so you really have in-person plus social, which I would say is LinkedIn. And so it can be that channel for you if you are consistent with it. I think why people have a negative connotation is they try it for a week, or they try it for 2 weeks, or they try it for 5 days a week for a month, and then they burn out and it doesn't work. Like my recommendation is always, what can you commit to doing for 6 months? If that's once a month, do that. Don't go 10 days in a row, burn out, and be like, this didn't work. Like, I can't tell you how often that comes up in conversation. Someone's like, oh, it didn't work for me. I'm like, what did you do? Like, yeah, I posted every day for a week. I'm like, well, it was 1 week. Business development doesn't happen over a week. You don't get new clients over a week. You get it over 6 months, 2 years, 10 years down the line. Like, you plant the seeds via social that will sprout at different times. Like, that is our motto. That's our mantra. That's our thought, is like every time you post something, it plants another seed that you never know who that's going to resonate with, or who that's going to resonate with that they're going to talk to. And so that is what the benefit is. You just have to commit to doing it for the long game, which is what most people are not willing to do.
Imagine a relationship where financial conversations don't feel stressful, but actually bring you joy. We've designed a guide to help you have positive, meaningful money conversations with your partner. This isn't just another budgeting tool, it's a roadmap for building trust and connection. So if you're ready to start a joyful money journey with your partner, go to mitlin.us/couplesjoy and download your free guide. Transform your financial future together, starting today. Listen, along those lines, this is probably on the further end of the extreme. We just recently had a family join us that we're working with that literally met with us 7 years ago. Really did not have much contact. They kind of fell off the radar, but followed us on various social media platforms. And 7 years later, sent us an email saying, hey, I think I'm ready to move forward. Can we set up a meeting to, consolidate everything and start my planning?
It's huge.
7 years. And really the only way we were connected with them over that period of time was two channels, right? Social media, number one, and number two was through our email newsletter. But to your point, she knew us, so she was probably, she was opening them and reading them. It wasn't like a cold email, but it takes sometimes years till they're in that position that they realize that they need whatever you can help them with, right?
I love that example. I mean, it's so true, and so many people don't realize that. She would not have thought of you. I mean, maybe, but most likely she wouldn't have thought of you over the last 7 years. But you were staying top of mind because you're providing value, drip, 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 all the time, and that's what it took to make that sale happen. If you don't do it, you have no chance of that happening. I like to think of being active on LinkedIn as increasing your surface area for luck. Like our ability to get, quote, lucky from a business development perspective. If you're never out there, you have no chance to get lucky. If you are out there consistently providing value, targeted at ICP, an ideal customer profile, good things will happen. You just have to be consistent with it and trust the long game.
Luck by design, as they call it, right?
Right.
So, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is, and you mentioned it earlier about, you mentioned spam, right? And I think that's something that has a, direct, no pun intended, link with LinkedIn these days. I know I get spammed constantly by what looks to be like AI bots, messages, and AI is all the talk these days. And I know recently you shared a conversation you had with several CEOs where you talked about AI not being a solution at all for especially what they're looking to accomplish there. Can you share those insights with our listeners? Because I think they're pretty powerful.
A lot of people ask me what's AI's role in content. If AI could write the piece of content, please, for the love of God, don't put it on LinkedIn. Like, I want to know specifically what Larry cares about. What's Larry's unique experience? What's coming up in Larry's conversations? Like, that is the content that is going to resonate with people. That's what people will find interesting. And as AI becomes more and more mainstream, at the end of the day, business happens because of relationships. And so if you're trying to build relationships via AI, I think you're going to significantly struggle. It's like, what's that human connection that you and I have? And to me, that's like, how can I provide value for Larry? What does Larry care about? I want to provide value for you. I want to help you rather than just spam bot 10,000 messages and pray that 2 people will respond. Like, I think those days are over from a business development perspective. And that's why I'm super anti-email when it comes to like email blasting. It's caveat, not all industries, some industries it might work for everyone that we work with, it really doesn't. But there's a personality, there's a human aspect of sending a direct message to you based on something that you posted about that AI just doesn't give us. And this is a very non-millennial take of me, but like there's so many aspects of AI I absolutely hate because it gets rid of the personal human nature of relationships. There are aspects of it that can be valuable. It can help you come up with ideas for content. It can help you come up with ideas for reaching out. But at the end of the day, without that human touch, I think it's relatively useless right now.
So what are a couple of things if I want to proactively or if you were proactively on my behalf reaching out to folks that potentially commented on things, right? Instead of sending them that AI message, what are a couple ideas on how you would approach that? That would be kind of anti the AI, which is just that generic, message that goes out to hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
Couple ideas. My first idea and the best idea is, let's say you're talking to a founder and you figure out they want to talk to chief marketing officers, and you have a friend that's a chief marketing officer in your network that likes learning about new innovative technologies that are going on. Making that introduction, asking okay on both sides before you do that, I think is really, really innovative and interesting. I don't think enough people think about like connecting and introducing people where it's mutually valuable for both of them. So that's one idea, and that takes like consistent thought, being intentional, understanding their business, understanding your business. That's my favorite. If you can do it, it's not always possible. The second thing that I love is if you were so you're in Long Island, putting together a dinner for founders of companies between 50 and 200 people, and you're doing that and reaching out that way because they're then getting value from something that you're doing and putting them together. So that would be my second. A lot of our clients put together dinners with their executives with their ICP in their city, and I think that that's really interesting and an innovative way to get new people into your world that otherwise wouldn't be. And then the third could be something along the lines of, hey, I want you to be on my podcast like we're doing here. Or it could be we're putting together a white paper for chief human resource officers of companies between 1,000 and 5,000 on how they can use AI in their workplace and something else. And I'd love for your perspective to be in this, and I'll share the findings with you. So they're things that get people from ice cold to a little bit warmer. I think that's a huge mistake that people make on LinkedIn is they assume that somebody wants to buy from them immediately. And that's just not how the world works. Like I want to get Larry from an ice cold relationship to a little bit warmer. And then 7 years down the road, Larry's going to buy from me. And you do that with enough people, good things will happen down the road. But so many people are like, I want Larry to buy from me tomorrow. I'm going to just spam blast him.
Yeah.
And that's what 98% of messages are on our LinkedIn. And they just never work. Nobody ever responds to them. So I'm trying to change the LinkedIn world around that.
I appreciate that. Please do. My LinkedIn email inbox would appreciate it too. And I think not to your point, it's not even just the standpoint of getting that relationship to potentially use your services because maybe they never use your services, but they refer 10 people who do, right? Because it could go either way. It doesn't have to be them directly. And building that relationship, you'll never know if there's if you don't build the relationship, you'll never know if there's those opportunities. So
I just think that's a really important point. So I would double click on that is most people don't think about partnerships rather than prospects on
right.
LinkedIn. So who's talking to your prospects and how can you provide value to that person? Like I talk a ton with head of platform at venture capitalist firms. Those are really, really good people for me to talk with because they're talking to founders every day about how they can grow their business. LinkedIn's a great channel to do that. A lot of them don't have time to do it. So a lot of my outreach strategy is like, hey, can I talk to, I want to talk to the head of platform here. I want to see, can I do a free webinar for your founders on how they can use LinkedIn? And I'm not selling in that webinar at all. I'm just, hey, here's some value. Here's some ideas that you can do. And at the end, some founders are like, I'd love for you to do that for me because I have no time to do it. And I know I have a decent network that this could help bring new business to us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we've had a lot of good nuggets here. What are maybe two or three things that you wish you could get people to understand about LinkedIn? In terms of, I'll leave it wide open there in terms of, what are some things that you really wish that people understood?
So the first thing I would say, I just hit on it before, but I'm going to hit on it again. It's a platform for taking people from ice cold to a little bit warmer. It's not a place to sell and mass blast people. It's like, how can you generate more valuable business relationships? That's number one. And I think most people think of it as like a quick sell because they have a number to hit and no, your prospects don't care about your numbers. They care about if you can provide value for them. So that would be my first thing that I would say. The second thing I would say is do things that other people won't do. So I'm super, super bullish on the video message on LinkedIn. I'm in
Okay.
executives' LinkedIn's all day.
Yeah.
Less than 1% of the messages they receive are personalized value add video messages. So when I give a lot of presentations to sales teams on how they can use LinkedIn more effectively, and that's always one of my top recommendations. And I did this for I did a presentation for a 100-person insurance company, and I asked 4 weeks later who's done them, and 3 out of the 100 people are uncomfortable doing it.
Yeah.
You got to do things that make you uncomfortable. You have to do things that are going to be different in order to stick out. Don't hit a button and send 10,000 messages that are trying to get people to buy your product. It's just never going to work. Do things that are different. Do things that take time. Be value add and focus on them, and good things will happen. I think so many people are like, here's why my product or service is the best. And it's like, who are you? Like
Right.
get away from me. I don't even know who you are. I'm not interested in that. It's how do you provide value for that specific person needs to be what your outreach looks like.
Yeah, I agree. So, let's pivot for a minute. You were an athlete. You were drafted into Major League Baseball, right? So, and I think that there's a lot of correlations between being an athlete and either being a founder or just being a really solid person in business. Because a lot of the skill sets that you implement right into your athletic career are very applicable to your professional career as well. So how do you think growing up as an athlete for you has helped shape who you are today?
I think it's everything. I mean, I'm going to be super big on my son and eventually daughter playing sports, because I think you learn so much through athletics that you just don't otherwise. The discipline that it takes to practice your sport every single day, to get up early, to go to a morning workout at 5 a.m., to deal with failure. I mean, as a baseball player, you're lucky if you get hits 3 out of 10 times. I mean, that is a fantastic career. And so 7 times you're failing. In business, you might have 10 sales calls, and 7 times you might not get the sale. For somebody who's not used to that, that could be incredibly challenging. So hitting hard goals. I mean, you want to play Division I college baseball, you're going to be knocked down 500 times on the way to getting there. And while you get there, you're going to be knocked down 500 times too. So how do you get up from that? I think there's so many different lessons that you learn from sports that translate into being an entrepreneur. I have like a new theory also about this, and we're not going to go super in depth into this, but I think that quote, failed athletes, or athletes who don't reach their peak or don't feel that they reached their peak, make really good entrepreneurs, because they feel that they didn't hit the mountaintop on the sports aspect, and that drives them every day on the business aspect. So it's something that I've been like testing out and talking more about, and it's just something that I find super interesting because it's true for so many people. It's true for myself and true for so many different people that I talk to.
So maybe you should write a white paper and invite some of the folks that might be interested in your service to contribute. There you go,
That's
right?
an interesting idea. I like that a lot, Larry.
Maybe you get a psychiatrist, a psychologist to help write that paper with you or something. Might be a
That's a cool idea.
I think there's something there. I don't disagree. I think from a standpoint of if I have two candidates, everything being equal, and one played a sport at a high level versus one not, especially a team sport, I tip the scales in favor of that particular person, because I just feel like they've, grown through a skill set that's going to be adaptable and something that's going to be meaningful to them today. So, one of the other things I find also is that coaching is something that adults seem to overlook, right? Through our athletic careers, right? I played hockey through college. We're so open and eager to get coaching to improve and hone our skill. And as adults, we kind of shy away from that. So I know that there was a situation with you where a leadership coach really helped fuel your passion for being an entrepreneur. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, coaching changed my life and really did get me to the place that I'm at right now, and to getting to the failed athlete subject that we were just talking to. That was a big part of it, because we took what are the 10 things that I learned from being an athlete, and what did I really care about, and what did I like about it. And one of the things that we took away was like, I have that fuel and drive to hit another goal, and that comes I can get that from being an entrepreneur. And at the time, I was doing inside sales for a healthcare consulting company. I mean, this was a decade ago. And I was calling chief nursing officers 100 times a day. And I was like, there has to be something more out there for me. And coaching helped me figure out that, like, I have this entrepreneurial itch. And it took several iterations to get to the spot that I'm at now. But having that objective third party to work through different things with has been transformational for me. I mean, over the last decade, I've had 20 different coaches that I've worked with at different aspects. So I'm incredibly bullish on what it does. I used to sell coaching. I used to work for a coaching company. Very few of us take the time to like have that objective third party to work through different issues. And for me, it's been incredibly, incredibly beneficial for my career.
Yeah, I loved it as well. And, and I continue to utilize it and use different people and sources over the years for different challenges, right? Because everybody has a certain skill set. And I would argue to some degree, you're a coach on LinkedIn, right? For these entrepreneurs, I'm a coach to families with regard to their financial situation. So there's a lot of coaching going involved here. So I think we're pretty adaptive to that. So, Harris, it's been a pleasure having you on, and we ask each of our guests the same final question because we are the Mitlin Money Mindset. We are all about joy here on the show, and that is, what did you do today that brought you joy and put you in the right mindset for success?
I like the question. I'm going to say what I'm going to do later.
Okay,
because it's still early in the day.
Maybe just thinking about it's bringing you joy.
Thinking about it is bringing me joy. On weekends, my wife and I tend to have a date night and spend time just the two of us. And so with a toddler at home, that is something that I absolutely love, is getting the alone time in a couple hours with her just to enjoy Thai food or Chinese food. And we bring it in, and that time is really special to me. So that always brings me joy, is when the two of us can spend time together. And uninterrupted time is really important and hard to come by when you have little kids. And so that's something that's going to bring me joy tonight and brings me joy every time we get to do it.
And with the growing family, that time is going to probably get less and less unless you carve it out, right? Which it sounds like you guys are doing a good job of protecting that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Harris, it's been a pleasure having you on, and we're going to have all of your information in the show notes. But if people want to learn more about you, learn more about linked revenue, connect with you, what's the easiest and the best place for them to do that?
Appreciate you asking, Larry, and appreciate you having me on. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Mention that you listen to the podcast. Mention something that resonated with you. Email me, harris@link-revenue.com. Let me know what resonated with you. I love sharing ideas. I love sharing tips. If you're an entrepreneur that knows, or founder or chief revenue officer that knows you can generate new leads from LinkedIn, but don't have time to do it, we'd love to talk with you and share some ideas and thoughts that I have for you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Harris. It's been a pleasure, and enjoy that time with your wife this evening, and that alone time, and enjoy the rest of the weekend as well.
Thanks so much for having me on, Larry.
I want to thank Harris Fanaroff for being a guest on the Mitlin Money Mindset. Relationships are the lifeblood of any business, and Harris and Linked Revenue have a process to help you be more successful at building them. Harris continues to learn and adapt to the changes taking place on the LinkedIn platform. He uses this knowledge to educate businesses on how they can leverage it, build deeper relationships, and use it to drive new business and greater revenue. Harris Fanaroff and Linked Revenue can be found across most social media platforms. All the contact information needed to find them can be found in the show notes.